Hey, YouTube. I'm not going to be able to look at the camera because I'm trying to do this and drive at the same time. I'm going to try something new because in my car in the morning time, I spend a lot of time thinking. And, I know most of us do. That's my therapy session. I used to go to therapy, and I was, it's been said before, but in the African American Black community, telling somebody your problems is just a little too much, and it's just, it's something that's not done. Like therapy, don't go to therapy. Now that's with a broad stroke, because I'm sure there's people who are Black or African American who do go to therapy, but I'm talking about in the hood. They ain't going to no therapy. You better sit your butt down somewhere and get over it. And I think that's just part of lack of resources and education and opportunity. It's nobody's fault. It just is what it is. But I grew up not hearing it like that, but just not ever thinking that therapy was an option. But as I got older and I got into the field and the profession that I work in, I know that that's not true. I know that therapy is definitely a resource. So I the end of 2014, the beginning of 2015, I believe. Yeah, the beginning of it. I was at the point in my life where I was making changes, but they were like, kind of like the seed hadn't quite germinated. they were in the ground, but there was a storm brewing, and nothing could grow, if that analogy makes sense. I had made changes in my life, like I wanted to clean up my health, and then I wanted to clean up my mind, and I knew in my mind I was dealing with a lot of things. In my family, there were, it's a small family. I had some issues that were causing me to always constantly be worrying and wondering, which, is when you're a child is rough, and then when it goes into you being an adult, it's just like normal behavior, but it takes a toll on your inner, your spirit. Your spirit is just tired, and I had gotten to the point where I was just in my spirit tired, and trying to be happy and young and social and all of that good stuff, but be tired in your inner spirit was just too much, so I was trying to be proactive, and I found myself like almost begging for information on therapy. And like I said, where I work, I was able to get the resources that I needed. So I did that for about a few months, which was great, but it wasn't when it started. When it started, it was like, and I look rough in the morning. It is what it is. But when it started, I was just like, why am I here? And why am I telling this person my business, But then I got over that, because I'm like, they don't know me. So if they're offended by anything that I'm saying, or if it really doesn't make sense, who cares? I got a little selfish in that moment, I'm like, I'm paying you, you go listen, which is ultimately what you want to happen. You want them just to listen. You want to just get it out. So just get it out. And it gets to a point where you ain't saying nothing. But then when they do speak, it's to connect points, or to emphasize points, or de-emphasize things that you've been emphasizing for so long. You've been putting all your energy into these certain areas where you have been inflating this emotion that is not really a thing. It's a thing in your head, but if you had paid a little bit more attention to that area, you would have gotten to the root of the real problem, and then you could have fixed it. So a therapist kind of like is the shepherd of your emotions, and the fisherman, the shepherd and the fisherman. They guides your thoughts and your memories, but then they lock on to something and then they reel it in, and they get you to drag it through the waters of your minds until you hoist it out, and you're like, God damn it, that's the problem. And then you can go from there to try to not fix it, but to deal with it and understand it, and grow from it, because the things that we go through will continue to go through. But it's how we respond to them that makes the difference. So yeah, therapy helped me in that way. It gave me the tools to be able to maneuver through this life that I've been given, blessed with, because life is a blessing. Any day that you're awoke and you can live and you can breathe and you can do stuff, it's a blessing, regardless of if it's perceived to be difficult or not. So towards the end of 2015, had a huge tragedy in my life, huge. My only sibling that I, have ever lived with or grew up with, or, all of that, was brutally murdered. Brutally. And I was like, talk about something being ripped out of your soul, out of your speech. You don't know what to say, what to think, what to do, but your body, because it's so magnificent, operates in like an autopilot and just gives you what you need to get through each day. Being that I had done the work with the therapy, those tools and those muscles of being able to process things started to kick in. So I didn't overreact in the moment. I was definitely shocked and sad and all of that. But I immediately thought, what can I do to not fix the problem, but to get through the problem, to get on the other side of this immediate shock, and I think for the most part now, 4 years later, I know it was nothing but that, and God, the universe, the great almighty, all of that, who gave me the strength to still be able to function, out of that tragedy, horrific tragedy, was, I wouldn't say, it was a task waiting for me. And it was for me to see the task, accept the task, and then try to complete the task, which there's really no completion. It's just like tackling it every day. I could elaborate more on what that task was later. Some of you may know, some of you may not know, but out of that horrific tragedy was an opportunity for me to step my game up and to go into a part of life where I had never been before. When you're young, you think you've seen it all, or you've mostly seen the things that mean something to you, and and you're content with that. But then when life really happens and it really gets difficult or challenging, then you're just like, oh, okay, this is where they say I can either sink or swim, I could run or I could fight, that's that moment. That's one of those moments, and I can honestly say that moment for me was one that I've accepted now. I had plans in my own 20-something year old life. You think, I want to do this, and I'm going to do this, and this is how I'm going to do this. And then big ass Mack truck just comes and completely spins you around, and all of what the direction you were going is completely gone. Where do you go from there? And that's where I was for a couple of years. Nothing quite meant anything anymore. Waking up and worrying about eating healthy, man, like, who cares? You're just grateful for being alive. And give me the pizza, and I want it with extra cheese on it, because I want to enjoy something. I want to have enjoyment in something because I'm sad, or thank God it wasn't drugs or alcohol, but for me it definitely was the comfort and eating, or those things that I already naturally love to do. You start to do them in excess because you long for a good feeling, because you're just sad all the time. So I'm not completely through that, because when you lose a family member in such a tragic way, it's not just you who's who is dealing with it. Everybody around you is trying to get to the point where they're just able to function, and if you're more functionable than the others, then here you go trying to do triage on other people's emotions and trying to get them to a point where you're like, okay, come on, it's gonna be okay. So either if you're not being worked on, you're working on someone else. So and this is just life after tragedy. And prior to that, I can honestly say I was blessed to not saying that I'm not blessed because of the tragedy, because in tragedy there's beauty, but it takes a while for you to get to that point. We just, as human beings, as fleshly creatures on this earth with our small minds, want to just be angry at something or a situation, and that's okay, because we don't really get to see the bigger picture in our existence. It takes a really big thinker to understand that there's a bigger picture to all of it. So in my small space, you just be sad and mad and upset for a while, but then it eventually evolves into something else, hopefully. Like I said, I believe that therapy really helped me get to the light quicker, or help me get on the path quicker. I'm still chasing the light, but I'm on the path, and I think it was made easier by the fact that I had that therapy in my life and was able to use my tools correctly, because my tools are different than your tools, and you need to be taught how to use your tools in your life. So I would definitely encourage young people to go to therapy, not when you have a problem, but hopefully before it gets rough. But if you are in a situation where things are rough and you really don't see the light or the path or any of that, then go talk to someone, either it's a paid somebody or somebody who's just willing to listen, because getting it out helps it, whatever it is for you. So I'll do a part 2 to this where I really get into a little bit more specifics on this horrific tragedy in my life. But at the moment, I think the takeaway is that if you're a human being and you're within the sound of my voice, take the opportunity to explore you, and learn how to use your tools. So when you are faced with your problem. You're not crippled by it. You're able to, I don't want to say the F word, because there's no fixing in life. You know, you're able to just exist with whatever it is you've been dealt to deal with, you know, because it doesn't go away. It doesn't feel any better, but you're able to place it. You're able to say, this is why I'm here. This is what I'm expected to do. And it's going to be okay, because it's going to be okay, with or without you. With or without you. You can be okay with it, or it could be okay without you, you know, if that makes any sense. So I want to be here. I want it to be okay with me. So it was up to me to get to a place where I'm not okay with what all happened, but I've placed it where it belongs. I'm dealing with it in the context of it and what it meant, and as a whole person, I want to move forward and ultimately prepare myself for the next thing or the next it, because in life there's always going to be something, you know, and it's just not what is when, and it's not if, it's when, you know, and when it happens, you want to be ready for it. So I'm going to go, and like I said, there will definitely be a part 2. I like this little drive thing because, you know, I guess it's better than talking to yourself about yourself. So yeah, I'll definitely have a part 2 on a little bit more detail about how bad it can really get in life. But right now, if you're contemplating going to get therapy, if you're thinking that's just way out there, but it was a thought, it's your moment. It's your moment to go. It's your moment to inquire. It's your moment to ask that next question, you know, and don't wait until you're too far gone in that pit, that dark hole of despair, where, you know, no outside person can reach you in that hole, you know. It's up to you to see that there's a need and then reach out to try to get some help. So peace and blessings. Live holistically. If you had a bad thought yesterday, have a good thought today. In the meantime, I'm out. Bye.